You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WISS Daily News Roundup for Oshkosh Air Support, 98.3 FM and 1100 AM.
For 98.3 and 96.5 WISS News, I'm Lisa Hale. Another inmate has died at Waupun Correctional Institution. 23-year-old Damian Evans died Tuesday. This is the seventh death at the prison in 2 years. Waupun Mayor Ron Bishop says drug smuggling continues to be an issue at the prison. Less than a year ago, former Warden Randall Hepp was charged with misconduct and 8 of his staff were charged with felony inmate abuse. Governor Tony Evers is pushing a $500 million prison reform plan that includes repurposing the Waupun prison, the oldest in the state, as a medium security facility with vocational training for inmates. 2 people were killed and another is in critical condition today after an accident in Calumet County Wednesday night. Calumet sheriff's officials say they were called to the 2-vehicle crash on State Highway 3257 in Charleston. Officials believe a pickup traveling south was hit head-on by an SUV traveling north. The driver of the pickup was a 73-year-old New Holstein man. He and his 70-year-old female passenger, also from New Holstein, died from their injuries. A 57-year-old Chilton woman was the driver of the SUV, and she remains in critical condition. The accident is still under investigation. While Mother Nature is playing fast and loose with winter weather, people are still trying to get a little ice fishing done. Tom Drzwicki, the owner of Bayside Ice and Marine Rescue, says in the last week he's had approximately 10 jobs rescuing people or vehicles that have fallen through the ice.
This is classic honeycomb ice, so just because you have ice thickness doesn't mean it's good ice. You have stronger ice early in the year. 1.5 inches will outsupport a foot of ice right now.
Drzwicki said honeycombed ice forms when rain or warmer temperatures cause melting and weaknesses in the ice layer. He says staying safe on the ice means paying attention to the condition. At its meeting Tuesday night, the Green Bay City Council heard a presentation from the NFL in preparation for the NFL Draft 2025. John Barker is the NFL Global Head of Major Events. He said the NFL is excited and prepared for a great event.
The draft is about hope. Everybody's 0-0. Everybody's got a chance. And it's about football, and it's about fandom, and it's about community. To be able to do that celebration at the Mecca of football is really special. Lambeau Field is a very, very special place.
The NFL Draft 2025 is expected to bring approximately 250,000 people to the area when it takes place at Lambeau Field in Titletown, April 24th through the 26th. Republicans in Congress are working on budget plans that could cut funding to Medicaid, which would impact health care for millions of disabled and low-income Americans. Savannah Tolmay Olson breaks down the possible cuts and how many Wisconsinites rely on this funding.
In the House, lawmakers passed a budget resolution instructing the Energy and Commerce Committee to cut $880 billion from the budget over the next 9 years. Experts say those cuts are impossible without slashing funding to Medicaid. The state federal program provides coverage for 18% of Wisconsinites. That's 1.2 million people here. That includes 1 in 3 Wisconsin kids and 4 in 7 nursing home residents across the state. Liz Williams, Senior Policy Analyst for Kaiser Family Foundation.
Medicaid is jointly funded by states and the federal government, so any restrictions in federal Medicaid spending really leaves states with tough choices about how to offset reductions.
Williams says states only have a couple options, including increasing state tax revenues, decreasing spending on non-Medicaid services like education, or decreasing coverage for other groups. Republicans are targeting these programs for lower funding in order to pay for Donald Trump's tax cuts from 2017. They're set to expire. According to the Center on Policy and Budget Priorities, nearly half that money would go toward the top 5% of Americans with the most wealth. Republicans' tax cuts under this plan would cost $4.5 trillion. For Civic Media News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson.
The former Lakewood fire chief was convicted of 7 counts, including identity theft, theft in a business setting, and forgery on Wednesday. 42-year-old Christopher Thompson pleaded no contest to the charges connected to the theft of over $100,000 over a 3-year period from the Lakewood Fire Department Association, of which Thompson was also the treasurer. Thompson will be sentenced on May 5th. The tariffs imposed this week by President Donald Trump on Mexico and Canada will eventually affect Wisconsin businesses. Right now, they seem to be causing a lot of stress politically in Wisconsin. With that story, here's Civic Media's Joanne Krulatz.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers blames Republicans in Congress for not opposing the Trump administration on tariffs.
If Congress thought through this for 2 minutes, they'd understand how bad tariffs are. And it's going to be hell to pay. This is not a good situation.
During a WISS Politics luncheon in Madison Tuesday, the Democratic governor summed up his feelings on the situation in Washington.
Do some praying, folks. This is not good for our country. Simple as that. I understand the needs to bring fairness to trading and all that. They can do that without stopping the trains. So it sucks. It's bad. It's no good. I'm irritated, and all of you should be irritated too, and I think you are.
President Donald Trump Tuesday imposed 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, which is Wisconsin's largest foreign market.
Oshkosh will be home to a new hip-hop music festival this spring. The Valley Vinyl Music Festival will be Saturday, May 10th at the Leach Amphitheater. The headliner is Ski Mask, the Slump God, a multi-platinum selling MC. Other artists include Snow Strippers, Homicide Gang, and Molly Santana. Tickets start at $75 and go on sale today. I'm Lisa Hale for 98.3 and 96.5 WISS News. For news anytime, visit WISS.FM.
Wisconsin gets the win. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball. The Badgers beat the Gophers in Minnesota. Matt LePay on the Badgers radio network.
Inbounds pass to Tanjay. They'll let him dribble out the clock, and the Badgers make it 9 straight against Minnesota. Wisconsin had to work for it, but Greg Gard's team gets the job done as the Badgers win it by 7. Final score tonight, Wisconsin 74, Minnesota 67.
John Blackwell with 25 points. The Badgers 21 for 24 from the free throw line. That's the best in the nation. Greg Gard.
You get on the road, you find a way, and I thought we had some decent looks from 3. But the fact that we were able to really be solid with the ball in the second half and get to the free throw line was really important.
Marquette with a loss at UConn, 72-66. The Golden Eagles host number 6th ranked St. John's on Saturday. NBA, the Bucks over the short-handed Mavericks, 137-107. Giannis scoring his 20,000th career point.
20,000 points is obviously when I go on the court, I'm a competitor. I'm going to compete. That's who I am. I'm a fighter.
That's Giannis Antetokounmpo with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Valeria Baldwin says her husband Alex suffered so much guilt after accidentally shooting and killing someone on the set of the film Rust that he sank into such a depression he wanted to kill himself. The actor's wife says since the incident, he has had heart issues and multiple hospital stays. The information was revealed on the couple's reality show on TLC called The Baldwins. I'm not calling myself a hero, but now that I've informed you of this news, you don't have to watch The Baldwins. The Sound of Music turned 60 this week. It's a film pretty much beloved by all and is one of the top 10 grossing films of all time. Nevertheless, George Von Trapp, a.k.a. Christopher Plummer, was not a fan. According to the New York Post, Plummer complained constantly and thought the story was gooey, at one point referring to the title as The Sound of Mucus. A few years ago, star Julie Andrews shared that she felt Plummer was in over his head musically. Let's be honest, he probably just did the film for the do-re-mi. The tabloids love to stir up trouble and are continuing to do so following last week's Oscars broadcast. After Kieran Culkin won Best Supporting Actor for his role in A Real Pain, cameras caught Edward Norton, who also was nominated for his role in A Complete Unknown, leaning over and saying the F word to his wife. It's not 100% clear what he said, or if he was referring to the fact that he lost, or if he's the most awkward romantic ever. Margaret Qualley's star is on the rise after a small but star-making role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and playing opposite Demi Moore in this year's Oscar-nominated The Substance. The world is pretty much her oyster. After a really unnecessary James Bond music tribute at the Oscars last week, which happened just in time as Bond was killed off 2 years ago. Fans are now saying they hope the daughter of Andie MacDowell becomes a Bond girl. Quite a leap. If you're heading to the theater this weekend while the snow melts, here are some moving pictures you might enjoy, especially if you're into sci-fi. Opening in wide release is Mickey 17. It's being called a sci-fi comedy, drama, mystery, thriller. It covers a lot of bases. I think the only genre they're missing is adult film. The movie stars Robert Pattinson, who plays an expendable on a dangerous mission to colonize a planet covered with ice. The film is getting mad love from critics with an 87% and certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Another new sci-fi film that hits theaters, In the Lost Land, stars Mila Jovovich and David Bautista. The film is about a queen who sends a sorceress into forbidden lands to find magical powers, kind of a necessity in the sorcery game. It's a nice cast and sounds fun, but is batting about a 50% with just a handful of reviews in. If science fiction isn't your thing, there are still lots of leftovers in the theaters from the last couple weeks, and most Oscar films are available to stream. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Mostly sunny today. We'll get to 37 for a high this afternoon with wind out of the west at 10 to 20. Tonight, partly cloudy, down to around 20 for a low. Tomorrow, sunny, 35, 38 Saturday. We're back to the 40s to 50s by Sunday and Monday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 21.
That's your WISS Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WISS.FM. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.